just getting started, welcome to the official, unofficial Next Level Chef podcast. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever this podcast may find you. Welcome, friend, to the Dear Showrunner podcast, a podcast that is all about TV streaming, and just a little bit of life. I am your host, Honest Am, and if you love what you hear here, please make sure that you check me out at www.honestlysis.com to learn more about me and all of my offerings. But we're going to get right on into this week episode. You guys know what we're here for. Next Level Chef. This is the competition where the winner will win $250,000 in a year-long mentorship with three of these wonderful judges. These judges really don't need any introductions, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We got Chef Naisha Arrington, Gordon Blaze, and then the man with the hair, the man with the flip, Jess Blaze, our returning champion. Now, this week is going to be all about the draft. But before we get into the draft, I want to just kind of give you a summary of what this episode told me. This episode really reminded me that it is so important to keep your eyes on the prize. You cannot be so focused on what is happening around you, who may be the celebrities, or who may be how, exotic your environment may be. You really have to put on that tunnel vision and focus on the goal. And as we go throughout this episode, you will see how some of our contestants allow either their overconfidence or maybe their nerves to get the best of them. And it was just another really good reminder that as much as this is a food competition, this show really illustrate the way of managing your emotions under high pressure situations. And so we enter the draft. First up to pick is Chef Arrington because before we even get into the draft, I kind of just want to tell you a little bit about the standings for Next Level Chef. Now, we had Chef Naisha Arrington. She took the win in season one with wonderful Priya. Priya was a professional chef. Then we had Gordon do a back-to-back win with season two and season three. He did that with a social media chef. He did that with a pro chef and then a social media chef. And then last season, Richard Blaze did. He won with a pro chef. And so, as you can kind of see a theme here, it seems like our pro chefs are the ones who typically dominate this competition. But I am really looking out for. I would really want a home chef to win this season. A home chef or a social media chef. Like I just feel like they're like the underdogs. I didn't realize that this competition has truly really been dominated by the pro chefs. So I'm just hoping that maybe we can break that routine. So we will see what happens this season. Now, as we go into our drafts, who get their first pick is Chef Naisha Arrington, and her first pick ended up being Daniela, which I'm not too surprised about that. I know that all of the chefs really had their eye on her, so it really didn't surprise me too much that Chef Arrington picked her for her first round pick. But I will tell you what did surprise me was Gordon first round pick. But we'll go ahead and go all the way through Chef Arrington. Chef Arrington has Daniela, who is a home cook, Connor, who is a pro cook, Emerson, who is another home cook, Machete, who is a pro chef, as well as Matt Dad, who I believe is a social media cook. So she has a very good, well-rounded team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she's going, how she would do this season. She broke out her notepad. She said that she's been taking notes, and just from the compilation of this team, you can see that it is pretty well-rounded. I could see that she was really mad that she didn't get Cole. I do feel like if she probably would have got Cole on this team would be, unstoppable. But then again, who knows? Everybody ended up where they're supposed to go. Now, for our middle level kitchen, we had Chef Ramsay, who's coming in with our 2 times champion. Now, Chef Ramsay, if you can see, if you were watching this on YouTube or our Dear Showrunners page, you would see that he has a all-female team. Now, it is so funny because I want to say during the home chefs, he mentioned that to Aisha, like, "Oh, are you thinking about doing an all-woman team?" And Aisha's like, "We love that woman power." And little did we know that was a breadcrumb to let us know what Chef Ramsay was thinking. And so his first round pick actually ended up being Gabriella. And I'm going to be honest, because that is the purpose of this show. I was shocked. I was like, "That's your first round pick?" But then he went on and he picked up Andy, which I kind of seen, Cole, which I'm like, yes, yes, Amber, oh my God. And then we round out the team with beautiful Morena, Gordon Ramsay with the all woman team. You know, this really reminded me of last season when he kind of did the Young Guns, which they did dominate for a minute. Those young guns were doing a really good job. And then towards the end, I feel like some of them just end up getting burnt out. But again, let's look at the makeup of this team. We have Gabriella here, who is a pro chef, Andy, who's a social media chef, Cole, who's a pro chef, Amber, who's a home chef, and then Morena, who's a social media chef. A very good variety on this team. And I really, really am rooting for Chef Ramsay. You know, we don't want him to be have a 3P, but I can't lie. I love majority of his team. So it's going to be really hard for me to like pick a team that I am, you know, Pacific, like certainly rooting for. I kind of love everybody. All my favorite people are spread out. So it really makes it hard for me to just pick and root for one team. Next up, in our final draft at our top level, we had Mr. Blaze, Chef Blaze. His first pick was Christian, which was not really surprising to me. Well, actually, you know, where did Emerson? Emerson went third. It was a little bit surprising. I kind of thought that Emerson, I knew Emerson was going to end up on Naisha Arrington team. So let me not, I'm not even going to put my foot in my mouth. Christian was Richard Blade's first pick. Not surprising at all. Tim was his second pick. Made total sense to me. And then he rounded off his team with Darian and Jared. And then the last pick ended up being Miss Elise. I didn't even realize until I was actually creating a little, you know, slideshow just to kind of help me keep focused on the podcast that he has like a lot of men on his team. And Elise just happened to be the one to round it out. But one thing I will say about Elise, even though she was the final pick, one thing that she mentioned is that Tom Brady, which I have heard this before, Tom Brady was the 199th pick of the NFL draft, and he went on to then dominate the sport. I mean, just completely obliviate the sport. And so that is a lesson for us, just like Elise. It doesn't matter when your name get called, where you line up, as long as you have a chance to get in the game, to get your foot in the arena. None of that stuff matters before. It is about what happens when you are in the arena. And if you can shake off the emotional weight of being a last pick. And we will see throughout the cook that Elise actually allowed that to kind of sink into her cook. And I really think it razzled her as she got into this week's challenge. And so this week's challenge is a taco party. Our chefs have 30 minutes to create a wonderful taco, a next level taco. Our chefs have 30 minutes to create a next level taco. And Richard was telling his team that remember, just because this is a taco challenge, it doesn't mean you have to just do traditional tacos. You can make a chicken taco. You can make a, I mean, you can make a Chinese taco. Or he was just saying you can get really creative. And I thought that was really funny that he said you can get really creative. And yet, when somebody did get really creative, he was like, "Oh, this is just okay plating. We'll get there." Let's talk about the cook. So, as we start getting ready to get into the competition, we didn't really have any drama when it came to the grab. You know, of course, the basement has scraps. One thing that I will note about the grab is that for the top level kitchen, Jared pulled ground beef, which is technically a middle level dish. I mean, is a middle level protein. And then Elise went ahead and pulled flank steak, which is also a middle level protein. And we end up getting cod, went all the way down to the basement. And then mahi mahi, which is, we know, is some of the best fish tacos that you can have, end up going to the middle level. So I will say that even though, you know, Richard team was at the top, he has some players in there that are playing just a little bit safe, and they're allowing some of those great protein to get to the bottom. But as we get to the middle level kitchen, we want to talk about Maria. Maria grabs some chicken thighs, and her plan is to create a chicken swarmer type taco. But the issue is that in the mid-level drop, we end up getting tortillas or masa dough, to where the chefs have to make their own tortillas. And because Maria really didn't have any experience with dealing with dough or flours or even a tortilla. She really struggled with creating her tacos. And I think that because she got so frustrated with trying to get her tortilla right, that she really didn't get her proportions together or really be able to focus on the components to really bring about this chicken shawarma taco to life. And then we had Elise up on the top level who was still dealing with her frazzled nerves of not being picked, earlier in the draft. And she said that she was going to do a flank steak, and she ended up marinating her flake steak in buttermilk. Never heard of it before. I wish Elise would have just looked up and saw Richard Flake. I mean, had looked up and saw Chef Blaze's face when she said that, because he looked like a deer in headlights. Like it looked like he wanted to say, "No, no, 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 no. What are you doing, baby? Baby, no, no, no. What you doing?" But she ended up doing this flank steak, and she said it's because her kids have a really hard time with chewing the steak, and so I think she was hoping to use the buttermilk to kind of break down some of the toughness of that flank steak. Um, and it really didn't work out too well for her. Then we had then we had Andy, who to me just felt like, Andy was really excited to get on Chef Ramsay team. She gets down there. Um, she had a good grab, but I just felt like Andy was just, as she was cooking, she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm cooking with Chef Ramsay." And I think she just like kind of lost focus just a little bit of the fact that she is in a, oh, I'm sorry, sorry. I just think she lost focus of the fact that she was in a competition. I really would say that the producers or whoever edited this episode kind of really did us a disservice, because they were so focused on Elise throughout this competition that I really didn't. We really don't know what happened with Maria, and we really don't know what happened with Andy, to where Andy nearly didn't miss the platform, and where Maria ended up just basically putting together a dish that she really wasn't proud of. I just really didn't really like the editing of this episode, because I felt like we were focusing on the wrong people. I feel like if we and again, I just feel like there feel to me, it feels like this season is a little bit different. um I don't know, like it's something a little something different about the way that this season is being portrayed. That I don't know. I hope that it's not going to be the norm. But I really think that the producers or whoever edited this episode really did us a disservice, because they were so focused on Elise, and Elise kind of melting down, that I really didn't. I really had to go. I watched the episode 2 or 3 times. I really didn't understand like how bad Maria was struggling, and where she was struggling at, and where was the breakdown really. Like I was really confused, and I was also confused about how Andy nearly didn't miss the platform. Now let's talk about Emerson down in the basement. Emerson, he got this tri-tip, and he just seemed very comfortable. He said that they eat this in Filipino dishes, and that is really about, if you know how to season it well, if you know how to cook it well, then it could be a really beautiful thing. Naisha said that he had a very good idea. He was being very creative. He was being very smart. He was going to make this Bria tile. He was making this Bria style tripe taco. I mean, I personally was looking forward to this dish. And then when it came time for him to put it on the platform, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he's putting last minute garnishes. I don't know what happened. But Emerson just completely missed the platform. He ended up trying to put it up there last minute, and it all came falling down all over his clothes, everything. I think one thing that we can learn from Emerson is that it felt like a little bit like how Andy is, that Emerson was so kind of excited about the team and excited about working with Chef Arrington. He's telling Chef Arrington, "Oh, taste this, try, taste this," and he's just so excited. And to me, he felt like really over, maybe too comfortable, to where he forgot that he was in this competition. And so when it came time for him to plate, I think he was like so focused on making sure he had the perfect dish, that he literally blocked out what Naisha was saying, which was, "Hey, you have 5 minutes. The platform is coming down." She was literally giving him the countdown, and he just totally missed it. He totally missed it. And my heart like just dropped. Like, I don't know if we ever like we've always had first claws, but I think this is the first time where somebody just completely missed the missed the platform. I don't remember. If I'm wrong, please send me an email at dearshowrunners@gmail.com. But I'm pretty sure this is the first time this has ever happened. And so that brings us to our mentor debate. At the top level, some of their top dishes that they really, really enjoyed. So, some of the top dishes that they really enjoyed was. Okay, so let's just talk about the let's just talk about the dishes that everyone created. From the basement, we know that Emerson didn't get his on the platform, but he was working with this Bria taco. Matt made this crispy tongue taco with this bacon jam that I just all of a sudden now have a craving for. Machete made some Coca-Cola Cobb tacos. Connor made these seared goat tacos that Machete was like, oh my God, this goat smells so good. And then Daniela ended up making some Baja tacos. And then in the middle level, we had Andy make Shiraya or Shagaya tacos. Please forgive me if I'm not saying that right. She made some tacos that was a heritage to her Cameroonian heritage. Then we had Gabriella make a seared snapper taco. Cole made a mahi mahi deep fried taco that personally looked amazing. I wanted them so bad. And then we had Maria who made a chicken shawarma taco, and then Amber made a apple and tiger prawn taco. At the top level, we had Elise with her steak tacos. Tim made the tri-tip tacos. Darian made a jerk lobster taco with that pineapple sauce. It looked amazing. Like I want some so bad. Christian made his beautiful pork tacos, pork shoulder tacos, and then Jared made ground beef tacos. During the judges' debate, they complained about Maria tacos being overfilled and just really hard to eat. They really didn't like Gabby tacos. They said that it was lacking flavor and that the fish was just entirely too big for the tortilla. And then, of course, they talked about Elise and her buttermilk flank, which they said they have never heard of that before. Some of their top dishes that they kept going back and forth over was Amber tiger prawn taco, Machete Coca-Cola tacos, and then Chris crispy goji. I don't even want to try to say the word, but Christian spicy pork tacos. And who ended up winning this one was Christian. Who ended up winning this competition was Christian. Sending two chefs who ended up winning this competition was Christian, which saved Chef Blaze team and made it to where a person from Chef Ramsay team and a person from Chef Arrington team had to go into the elimination challenge. The elimination challenge was a mole showdown, which is so funny because Emerson literally had the look of death in his eyes. Like he looked like a deer in headlights when he heard that he had to make a mole in 20 minutes. But that ended up being the elimination challenge. And the difference of this elimination challenge this year is that the platform will not stay. I mean, the platform will not remain there. So if they do not get all the ingredients that they need the first time around, if they do not get all the ingredients that they need the first time around, then they would just be out. So that just adds extra pressure on the elimination round. I kind of agree with it because, if this is all about Next Level Chef and it's all about the platform and the grab, then why should that change in the elimination challenge? And so in this elimination challenge, Maria was just so focused. Like Mama had her hair back. Mama, as soon as the timer came back, she was putting her oil down. She was toasting her chilies. I mean, she was so calm and focused. And meanwhile, Emerson was like a deer in the headlights. He had his team yelling at him, telling them what to do, what not to do. And so this really made it to where it was like a very intense elimination challenge. And I really was like, damn, is Emerson about to go? Like, are we about to lose Emerson this early? Which is somebody I thought that I thought can potentially win the competition. And lo and behold, that did not end up happening. When it came down to Emerson, who made more of a chicken mole, Maria made a pork mole. They end up going with Emerson chicken mole. He did put some more of an onion on there. It was so funny when Maria was finishing up and putting her mole on top of her pork chop. It was looking good at first, and then she started to drizzle some around, and everybody was like, ugh, like it really did look like, I don't want to say it, looked like boo boo a little bit. But thankfully, she switched up her plate. But I did notice when her plate got over to the judges, it was just still just a little bit dirty. And also, I this was something that Maria also kind of got dinged for in her during the audition round. Remember, she had that game hen that she made, and that's all she made was a game hen. I think she put it on top of some, what did she put on top? Maybe some puree or something. Like, it really wasn't a complete dish. And I think the same thing kind of happened here. Maria was focused on, getting that pork, getting that pork mole together. Getting her. She was really focused on the mole, which makes sense because that is what the challenge was all about. But I will say Emerson kind of put together more of a complete dish with just that popcorn, like little thing, like small things go a long way. And I think him having just that popcorn there, just giving it just a little bit of color, giving it some type of texture to go off of, I think it really did push him over the next level. And so we ended up losing our Egyptian goddess, our fit foodie, Miss Maria. Really, really sad to see her go, but I mean, Mama went out like a champion. Like, I really was worried about Emerson. I didn't, I didn't think he was gonna make it. I was really, really, really concerned about him. So shout out to Maria for bringing it on home. Final thoughts. Our life advice this week has to come from Emerson. Like, I have said this now, this is episode 4, and I think I've said it every episode since we've been recording. You have to listen to the mentors. Your mentors are there to guide you. Your mentors are there to help you in the competition. And for whatever reason, Emerson blocked out the mentors this season, blocked out the mentors as he was cooking. He didn't listen to when Aisha said, "You're done. The platform is here. You got to go." And he ended up missing the platform. And I do think it is something about him being overly confident, overly confident, and maybe just feeling a little bit too loose and not really staying on top of it and staying focused and keeping his eye on the prize. But I did love that when it came time for him to take ownership, he just said it was my fault. There was nobody else did anything wrong but him. He said that was on him, and he went down there and was able to pull himself out of elimination, and I was happy to see it happen. Mentor beef, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I love Blaze. I do really, really love him. I love his energy. I love his attitude. But I'm not feeling him in these debates. Like, if he's gonna be like this all season, it's gonna be a tough season because it just really felt like he was pushing for his floor. And yes, of course, that is what all the mentors should be doing. But I just, like, I didn't really care for the comment he gave for Cole. Like, Cole was the only one who went above and beyond the challenge. She didn't just, put her tortilla dough on on a griddle. She literally deep fried it and presented it differently. And the reason why he didn't like it is because he said it didn't have a sauce. Like, I really love that Gordon kept pushing back. Like, this isn't a salsa challenge. I didn't like how he said on his top level, hey, be creative. You don't just have to do a traditional taco. And then when it came down to the mentors debate, he was judging the middle level because they didn't do traditional tacos. Like, like, literally, he said Amber taco may as well be a spring roll. Like, that wasn't fair. Because if you listen to it, and I watched episode 3 times now, Amber Taco was the only one where Gordon was like, like literally, he was like, "This is good." Like, he was saying this was good. Naisha said she went in for a second bite for cold taco. So I'm trying to figure out how the winner didn't come from Ramsey Floor. I really feel like I'm gonna say it. and I'm not gonna take it back. Shout out to Dr. Heavenly. I really felt like the producers was saving Elise. Like, Elise, you're saying thank you to Christian, but you really should be thanking Emerson for fumbling the ball because he is the only reason why you were not eliminated this round. But we're gonna keep our eye on her because when we have people like that, they tend to not do very well into this competition, and so that's just something to look out for. I hope that Blaze will really remember that this is not just a competition to push his people forward, but it is about finding the next best level chef. And so, yeah, I really hope that that happens and that he will learn to take criticism well, and that he will also, the advice that he gives to his team, that will also apply to everyone in the competition. Predictions. My predictions is I told you guys I have my eye for Elise and Jared. They really were. I mean, honestly, I like that Jared just cooked the ground beef because he went with a protein that he knows and that he was comfortable with. But I do have my eye on Blaze, like on Team Blaze. Um, to me, I hope it ain't just Christian and Tim. Tim, dragging that team along. I do not want to just see Christian and Tim being the only ones keeping that team afloat. So we will see. I did not like how this week kind of shook out. But we're gonna keep it open. My predictions is that I don't, you know, Elise gonna have to prove something to me. Like Elise gonna have to shake it off. I hope that maybe she get a good night's sleep off knock off that draft. But I'm really looking for Elise to really wow me next the next competition, because right now I'm like, girl, I don't know. So that's my predictions. I really think our winner, honestly, I don't think that Blaze is going to have a repeat as much as he want to have that energy. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's too early to say who's going to win. So I'm not going to do a predictions on my team wins. Maybe we'll get a couple more cooks in, and then I can let you know what I'm thinking about it, thinking of who I'm rooting for. But I will say, Elise, boo boo, I think you on borrowed time. All right, y'all. Our next episode, you are going to want to make sure you are subscribed to the Dear Showrunners podcast, because our next episode, we have a very, very, very special episode coming up. We are really about to start getting into the behind the scenes. Okay, and that means that I am going to have a exit interview coming. Yes, I am. I will have an exit interview coming up with one of our pro chefs. Who will it be? Send me an email, comment down below, and let me know who do you think is going to be on this week's episode. That episode will drop on Thursday, but you want to make sure that you are subscribed so that you do not miss when it comes to your feed. All right, good friends. Now that we have reached the end, all I want to say is dream those dreams. All right, friends, if you love what you hear here, please make sure you check me out at www.honestlysis.com. Join our mailing list where you will get to learn more about me and all of the things that we have going on over there. But until we meet again, dream those dreams. Never let the internet rush you, and never ever let someone tell you what you cannot do. Thank you, friend, for helping my dreams come true. Now get your ass out there and work on your own. All right, friend. I will meet you at the top or in the next level.